Okay, it's Tutorial Tuesday with Dion Ricardo, and let's get started. Okay, in this short video, I'll be answering 3 questions that martial art and fitness business professionals should be asking themselves about their website and online marketing. Stay with it. Question 1, how to know if I should be getting more new students from my website? Question 2, what is the number or volume of calls and or web form fills that I should be able to expect from people searching in my local area on Google? Have you ever asked yourself that? Question 3, what does it take in terms of time and dollars in order to rank number 1 in that Google Map Pack? And if there's time, one more bonus question that we'll be covering is, how do I rank in the map pack for other areas besides the one that my facility is in? Okay, since it's Tutorial Tuesday, I'm going to show you one tool that I like to use a lot. It's called Google Trends. If you've never used this before, it's really simple to use. But in terms of this video, I want to show you the comparison of the type of keyword searches that people do in Google. And I want to compare the search terms kickboxing versus taekwondo versus karate versus martial arts classes versus jiu-jitsu, just so that we have a baseline understanding of what type of search terms are being looked at the most. Okay, and then I'm also going to describe a best case scenario. But as you can see right here, represented in the blue here, that searches for kickboxing are a lot higher than a lot of the other search terms that are competing here. Okay, the only one that really grasps this other line is, if you notice, karate classes. Okay, now you can see down here this green one that's kind of in the middle, and this is over a year's worth of time. Okay, this part of the graph represents how many searches per month, and we're not adding the geo modifier, meaning we're not saying kickboxing classes in Denver, Colorado. But what we're doing is that we're getting a general baseline to really dominate in the Google Map Pack, okay, that area. Now we'll get to it, we'll do some live examples, but basically the area right in here, okay, you want to rank your school not just for one of these, okay? You want to rank your school for as many of these search terms as possible. Don't want just one of these sources of traffic, because that only represents at most 100 local searches per month. Maybe in some areas, it's in big cities, it's probably a little bit more than that. Okay, so how should a martial art or fitness business owner look at this in terms of their online marketing? Well, when we're specifically talking about Google My Business, those 3-pack listings that we see here when people do a Google search, okay, this is where we want to focus most of our effort, because most of the clicks that come from these type of keyword searches are clicking in this area right here. Now, in this graph, it's telling us that out of all these terms, kickboxing is probably getting searched the most. But if you offer kickboxing classes and you're solely ranking for kickboxing classes Denver, Colorado, say, for example, but you also have a kids program that you're not ranking in that 3-pack area right here in Google for karate classes, then there's a whole part of the market that you're missing. But in a perfect world, you would want to have all of these streams, all these, to add up to a total monthly search volume looking at your Google My Business listing. So in other words, if you're number 1 and there's 100 local searches here, you're maybe getting, 45% of the clicks on that first page. So, that represents 45 unique visitors coming to your website and looking at your offer. If you want to stop there, that's great, but there's so much more potential if you're also ranking for taekwondo classes, karate, martial arts, jiu-jitsu, and whatever other terms. And again, I'll go into it, keywords in another video, because it's such an important foundation if you're going to be doing your online marketing, or even if you're going to be outsourcing it to somebody. Knowing your own keywords is essential. So a good question to ask yourself right here is your Google My Business listing currently ranking #1 for any of these keywords in your local area? And number 2 is, if you are you ranking across multiple keywords? Okay, that's a good question to ask yourself. Okay, next let's go ahead and go over how to look at this for yourself, so that you can do this analysis on your school and kind of see where you're at, and so you can tackle your online marketing with intelligence. Okay, the first search that I have in here is Taekwondo and Denver. Okay, so when I pull that up right here, it's showing about 210 monthly searches. Now, what we have to understand here is that this first listing, okay, as long as the reviews are decent and the rating is, about a 4.6 or over, if you're down this low and it's not a 5.0, you want to have a higher volume of reviews than everybody else. So this listing right here is going to get about 45% of the clicks of people searching for this. So if 210 people a month are searching this exact search term, then this school right here is going to get 45% of that 210. I hope that makes sense. The only way that click percentage changes, once again, is if the #2 and #3 slot have better reviews and more of them. That means that basically every other listing, they say that this area right here gets about 12% of the clicks, and then the rest is divided up within the organic. So basically we can see that this is definitely the most important slot on any local search term like this. So you could definitely say that if you're a Taekwondo school, you definitely want to have this first spot. But let's remember this first slot and this information, okay? Because now if I, let's say, go to, Denver martial arts, that keyword search phrase that people would be typing in, let's take a look at that one real fast. Okay, as you notice, that's not the #1 for Taekwondo is not the #1 for martial arts for that search term. Now, some of that has to do with the category, okay? I'm pointing at the category right here. If you notice that this Taekwondo is the #1 here, but then the martial arts school is the category here. Now, if we go back to this one here, you could see that the #1 slot is given to that category, and usually that's synonymous with whatever that search term is. But you can see that Google does allow other people to step in if they have good reviews, even if the categories don't match up perfectly. So you have to ask yourself, if you are, if you're not in this first 3 areas, your first goal is to get into this map pack right away. That would be the first goal. But if you are in this first 3 here in Denver, it would only make sense, instead of just all sharing this 210, you would want to also try to get your listing to also rank for this one, so that you get more of the market share, the total market share of people that are looking to get into some kind of martial arts. So again, just thinking about that, if this school right here, which is, probably getting, 12% of the searches that actually come to this page, which is 210, what if they got the idea, hey, let's also try to get this listing to rank over here for this keyword, okay? Since it's in the same area, what if we got to share some of this even if we couldn't achieve #1 ranking and get that 45% of that 590, what if we could break into here somewhere and share some of that 590? Would that make a difference to our school, to having people come to our website and just really be having more new students wanting to come in and try classes? That's what it translates into, you guys. Okay, now that we got some of the basics of how to analyze this and look at it, and we understand that, you know, you can drill deep and you can also drill wide, and once you've achieved a #1 ranking in a certain area, or even #2 or 3, once you're in the map pack for a certain keyword search phrase in your local area, you may want to, you know, hold that position strong and maintain it, but then also try to expand that keyword search so that you get more of that local market share. Now, what I want to do is shift into comparing the different volumes for the different types of areas. Denver's a big city. Now let's look at another one. So here you can see we have Taekwondo in Aurora, Colorado. Okay, the volume difference here, because it's not a big city like Denver, now we're talking about 50 monthly searches per month. Okay, so that's a lot different volume than when we saw 590 and 210 or 220. Now we're talking about really going, you know, competing for 50 local searches on Google for this type of keyword search term. Okay, so since this guy's getting 45% of the lion's share, imagine, like, you know, if, let's say, that same school, or even any of these schools, once again, if they also, let's say, ranked for this. Now, all of a sudden, they're getting more eyeballs coming to their website, you know, coming to their phone number, you know, they're getting more people, more eyeballs, more viewability. Their footprint is larger, okay? But as you could see, this listing, I don't think any of these listings, let's go back. Yeah, none of those listings are ranking for that other keyword that's getting some eyeballs, okay? So if you live in an area like this and you're only ranking #1, 2, or 3, remember, you're getting 45% of the line of this 50 if you're here, and you're gonna get 10% somewhere in here of this. That's not a lot of people. So, you know, if you've been wondering why your website's only bringing in, you know, 5 to 10 new people a month, well, you can kind of see, if you live in an area like this, you could see what you're fighting over, right? Okay, if you're not in this, you're not even getting that traffic, most likely. You're not getting those eyeballs on your website. Okay, let's do another city, down to suburban, down to rural area type of situation, so that we can kind of understand volume once again. So look at Atlanta Martial Arts, 140 is the volume. You guys can see what we have here. Then when you shift into a smaller area, more of a suburban area around Atlanta, now we're talking about 40, just like we saw before. You got those big numbers in the city, and then it kind of gets down under 100 for these smaller areas. Okay, so you could see the volume right here for karate. You could change that again. And we start to see that, like, whether you're in a big city or whether you're in a rural or suburban area, the real key is not just ranking your Google My Business listing for one particular keyword. Okay, that is an achievement, and that should be, for most of us, that's the first goal. But then once you've reached that goal, what you want to do is you want to expand the keyword search terms that you're able to rank for in any given location. So if your school is in Atlanta, and you're ranking #1 for Atlanta kickboxing, you would want to go and try to rank #1 for Atlanta martial arts. And then the next one would be Atlanta karate. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring that overall volume of people seeing that same profile with your phone number and a link to your website, it's going to bring that volume way, way up, and you're going to see way better results when it comes to the amount of new monthly people seeking to come into your school and sign up. I just wanted to bring this guy up because this is kind of funny, and I see this real often when I'm going through stuff like this and doing some of this research. Notice that this keyword search term has 140 volume, or 140 people searching that per month. Okay, this person right here owns this basic page. He's got, Google has given him, there's not a 3-pack triggered here for this keyword search term, which is pretty uncommon. But he has this whole side to himself, and of course his website ranks #1, and they gave him his Facebook as the ranking #2. So they're saying that this school is the authority in this area. Okay, now that means that if any of these other schools got the bright idea to put their efforts into their Google My Business listing for and target this keyword through different optimization techniques and stuff I'll go into later, then they would be able to start tapping into that market, because this person right here is getting almost all the searches, probably getting all the phone calls, and getting all the clicks to the website for the people that are really interested, because they're going to Google and typing Fayetteville martial arts in, but this person has absolutely no competitor. Okay, so in summary, there's two goals in attacking the map pack. This is the way that we should look at it as martial art and fitness business owners. #1, rank #1 in that map pack on the keyword searches that really, really count. Okay, and that's what we just went over. You can see it. Once you get ranked #1 for one keyword search term, then you want to try to go after the other ones that make sense in your area as well. Now, this #2 goal is especially if you're not in those big cities that we mentioned, okay, with that 200 volume, that 500 volume, that 1,000 volume for a single search term. Now, if you're not in a major city like that, what you want to do is look to rank #1. Like once you've achieved that, where you're ranking #1 for multiple keywords in your local area where your facility's at, then what you want to look to do is widen out your footprint even more by trying to get your listing to rank in the other areas around where your facility's at. Okay, so in other words, just like looking at the Fayetteville example. Okay, if I'm able to continue just to kind of scroll out, okay, if this is where Fayetteville Martial Arts is, okay, well, it looks like there's Johnson, there's Shady Grove. You can probably look around and see if there's other areas. There's Greenland. So once you've dominated your particular area for not one keyword, because if your first goal is if you've dominated for one keyword search term or grouping, I like to say, then you want to move on to the next keyword search and grouping. So if you dominate for kickboxing and kickboxing classes, kickboxing schools, gyms, classes, then you want to move on to, okay, let's get ranked #1 for karate and karate classes in the local search term and all those sub keyword searches. And then move on to, okay, the next one, martial arts. Once that's all taken care of in one particular area and your footprint is spread out amongst those keyword search terms, then you want to start to branch out into the other areas around your location. Okay. And you can just, you could just look at Google Maps. It's a question I get a lot is, well, how far should you go out? It kind of depends on how far people are used to driving, and that varies on the areas. Usually a good rule of thumb is try not to go any more than 10 to 15 miles away from your location. Once you get beyond that, it's a little sketchy unless you got like 50 reviews and they're all good, and you got a super dynamic program, well established. But the less established your school is, the more important it is to focus on your particular area where your facility's in. And then once you've mastered that, branch out into the surrounding areas and get some of those views to your website and get some of those areas to be calling your phone. Okay, so let me give you an actionable item to do with this knowledge that you got from Tutorial Tuesday. Go ahead and do these searches for yourself in your local area, and then utilize some of the keyword search terms that I showed you here in Google Trends, and start to see, like, what's the potential that my Google My Business listing has in my area, and where am I currently at? And kind of getting, if you get the answers to those questions, you're going to know where to apply your energy and effort, because it's a sure thing. Okay, let me give you one more actionable item that you can do real quick that'll pay off big dividends. Recently I did about 6 months of looking at martial arts and fitness businesses websites and their Google local footprint and their their SEO for Google, and I was just evaluating and reporting back to school owners, and then also just doing some research on my own for this project. And one of the things that I noticed, like, over and over again, and guys, I looked at probably 50 different cities, just like I'm showing you right now, and then research and then took notes on the data for these like 50 different cities. And one thing I consistently saw that's a major issue in your Google My Business listing and ranking in that map pack is this. Now, this happens to be an area that's very competitive in a suburb of Georgia, and you could just see by the amount of schools just on this one street how competitive this area must really be. I mean, there's like a cluster of schools, along this whole strip here, okay? But even in just, you can see how many schools are here. Now watch this. When I click on it, you're going to see that the owner of this gym, this school, has not verified their listing. Okay? They haven't also optimized or completed their listing, but the first step is they have not verified their listing. So this is going to be a detriment at all times to them being able to rank #1 in that area and hold that ranking. And in some cases, they'll even lose this listing. There are times where Google has done an algorithm sweep through and they've delisted the listings that were never verified by the business owner. And it's a really simple process. I'm going to cover that in my next video, but this is something that you definitely want to take care of and take action on. Is if you look at your listing and you've seen this business, you're going to want to go ahead and verify that right away. But to make this point, just again, in this cluster of schools in a very competitive area, we see one school that had not verified their listing and it was in jeopardy. Here's another one. Again, in the same area, unverified listing. This listing's in jeopardy to be delisted, and it's going to have a hard time ranking #1 and holding that ranking with never verifying it. Same thing with this, okay? This listing right here. So we have 3 listings within this little area, very competitive area, that do not have their Google My Business profile listing verified. Okay, so just that tiny little thing, if you take care of that, it's going to put you one more step in the right direction in dominating the Google Map pack. Okay, in my next video, I'm going to show you how to complete and optimize your profile, your Google My Business listing profile, so that it increases the chances of you getting to that #1 ranking, okay? If you want to know more about dominating the map pack on the big G in your local area, I have a super powerful guide that will lead you in the process of getting to that #1 ranking as that first goal, and then like we talked about, how to further that reach out. Okay, if you'd like to get that free Attack the Map Pack PDF guide, please comment the word PDF and I'll go ahead and PM it to you right away. Or you can click the link in the above post and I'll send it private message to you. Don't forget to comment, like, and share this post. Okay, quick note, I know I didn't talk anything about PPC or pay-per-click marketing in order to offset the Google local strategy. Today in this video, I simply wanted to focus on free Google local profile listings. We will talk about how to utilize PPC in order to outrank or expand your footprint in the Google local maps area in another video.